The Invisible Man, the second television series with this title, debuted in the US in 1975 on NBC and starred David McCallum as the scientist Daniel Westin and Melinda as his wife, Dr. Kate Westin. The series was created by Harve Bennett. A pilot TV movie initially aired in May 1975 and was followed by a 12-episode series that fall. Cast: David McCallum as Dr. Daniel Westin, Melinda.A. as Kate Westin, Jackie Cooper as Walter Carlson, Craig Stevens as Walter Carlson, Henry Darrow as Dr. Nick Maggio, Charles Aidman as Dr. Nick Maggio. Opening credits: Machine malfunction, Westin permanently invisible. KLA Corporation will finance recovery effort. Westin will render services as secret agent. His code name, KLA Resource. Computer-style text shown in opening title sequence plot. Pilot inspired by the original novel by H.G. Wells. The pilot film depicts Daniel Westin working for a company called the KLA Corporation, which is doing experiments in molecular disintegration. He discovers the side effect of his work is the ability to turn objects invisible, and tries to find medical applications for his invention. He discovers that objects that are made invisible reappear after a few hours, and on living test animals the collars they wear reappear before the living cells themselves. Obsessed by his invention, Westin decides to become invisible himself, in part to prove that a human can survive the process, and also to test a serum he has developed to reverse the invisibility. He reveals the process to his boss, Walter Carlson, who is initially unimpressed by what he sees as millions spent on a nuclear disintegrator, but he becomes more interested when he realizes that the pen Westin disintegrated is actually still there. He wants to back the project for military purposes, and in the course of the argument it is revealed that the Pentagon has provided the funding for Westin's research. In effect, the military already own the process. Westin tries to destroy his invention by sneaking into the lab after hours and deleting his research. In order to make his escape, he becomes invisible for a second time, before triggering an overload and destroying the apparatus. But it appears that after all the process is unstable, and he becomes only briefly visible before turning permanently invisible. He cannot return to his visible state any longer, and the serum is ineffective. He goes to his friend, Nick Maggio's skilled plastic surgeon, who creates a disguise for him in the form of a face mask and a pair of gloves using a special material called dermaplex, that has the same properties as human skin, which enable Westin to appear in public. The dermaplex side effect is that Westin has to remove the mask from time to time because, as Dr. Maggio states, the beard will be your enemy, and the itch will drive you crazy. Quote, by the conclusion of the pilot, the process lack of stability renders it effectively useless for commercial or military applications, and the KLA Corporation is persuaded to re-employ him in his research capacity despite his condition, and thus the series begins from this point. Westin seeks to perfect his work and at the same time find a cure, a means of restoring his visibility. The series and its international broadcasting. There were subtle differences between the pilot and the series. The pilot depicts Westin as a tragic figure, the victim of the invisibility process. Despite his continued efforts, he essentially remains invisible all the time and must use technology to fake being visible. The series was lighter and more humorous, featuring invisibility-related gags and scenarios, and ignoring the tragic side of Westin's predicament. The first post-pilot episode indicates that Westin and his wife Kate have been working as agents for some time. Indeed, The character's invisibility was utilized as the key resource of the show's introduction. An invisible man can go places and do things that the visible cannot accomplish. A less subtle difference is in the area of casting. In the pilot, Jackie Cooper portrayed Weston's superior, Walter Carlson, but for the series, the role was recast with Craig Stevens playing the part. The character was also altered to be more sympathetic and closer to the Oscar Goldman archetype. Like its late 1950s predecessor H.G. Wells' Invisible Man, the episodes featured sequences of the camera taking on Weston's point of view, showing whoever and or whatever the character himself was seeing at the time. However, it is unclear as to whether this move was inspired by U.S. screenings of that earlier television series or simply coincidence. One noteworthy episode is Powerplant, which is set entirely in the headquarters of the Klee Corporation, uses only the regular studio sets, namely Walter Carlson's office and the Weston's laboratory, and features only the regular cast members along with guest star Monty Markham as Pike, an armed escapee from a mental institution who threatens the lives of both Walter and Kate, and demands to know the truth about the Klee resource which, after having forced the secret from Walter, he plans to use to become dictator of the United States. As was common for action-adventure series of the era, The Invisible Man featured episodes that, save the pilot, could be viewed in any order. However, it was cancelled before the underlying arc of Weston curing his invisibility and returning to normality could be resolved. The series was shown on French TV in 1976. It was also dubbed in Italian and broadcast on various channels in Italy in the early 1980s. Episodes. Blue screen special effects. The series was shot on film, but the blue screen special effects were shot on video using Image 655, a special 24-frame SEC 655-line video system based on modified NTSC cameras and videotape recorders, as this was much cheaper and faster than using traditional film-based blue screen effects. The videotaped effects shots were transferred to film and edited into the finished episodes. DVD and Blu-ray releases. On February 21, 2012, Visual Entertainment released The Invisible Man, the complete series on DVD in Region 1 and on Blu-ray in Region A in Canada for the first time. In the US, the DVD release was on May 1, 2012, and a Blu-ray release on June 19, 2012, and distributed by Millennium Entertainment. In Region 4, the series was released on DVD in Australia on August 15, 2012, and in New Zealand on September 13, 2012, and distributed by Madman Entertainment. In Region 2, the series was released on DVD in the UK on the 8th of July 2013 and distributed by Acorn Media UK.